Hi there, my name is Maya and welcome to U.S. History 4, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. In this video, you'll learn about how the Founding Fathers of the United States wrote America's Constitution, still followed to this day. You'll also learn about the original 10 amendments, as well as a bit about the more recently added 17 amendments. In 1777, the U.S. drew up its very first constitution as a free country, the Articles of Confederation. In other words, this was their first document stating their principles and laws. However, this constitution was very vague, and the states decided it wasn't good enough. Therefore, in 1787, each state sent representatives to meet in Philadelphia to develop a new constitution. The goal of the Constitution was to create a strong government with several branches as well as list their purposes. By September of 1787, they had successfully created such a document, and each representative signed off. The Constitution begins with a famous preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. While these words are certainly beautiful, you might be surprised to learn that the writers actually made some grammar errors throughout the Constitution, such as misusing the word "its." Following the preamble, the Constitution is broken into 7 articles, each concerning a different topic. Article 1 is known as the legislative article and talks about who should make the laws for the entire country. It describes that laws must be passed by Congress, which is composed of 2 groups, the Senate and the House of Representatives. The Senate is made of 2 senators from each state, and the House is made of a certain number of representatives from each state, depending on how many people live there. The majority of this article remains the same to this day. But as the United States grew in size, the section listing how many representatives come from each state had to be amended. This article also describes the decisions Congress should make, such as regulating trade and taxes. Article 2 is known as the executive article and is all about the election process and position of President of the United States. This article explains the requirements of a president, such as being a natural-born citizen of the U.S. over the age of 35, as well as the power the president holds as Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. military. It also describes the limits on the president. The president's term must only last 4 years before another election, and presidents may be removed by the Congress in a process called impeachment. Article 3 is known as the judicial article, describing the court system and how the country will make sure every citizen is playing fair. It states that the power to judge who's following the Constitution will be held by the Supreme Court, and that trials shall be held with a jury of citizens. It also explains that an act of treason or betrayal of the country is to be declared by Congress. Article 4 explains the purpose of the states and that new states may be added to the U.S. as long as Congress approves. Article 5 talks about the process of how new points can be added to the Constitution. These additions are called amendments. So far, 27 of these amendments have been made. Article 6 is about the oath of office for elected officials, which is a solemn promise to serve their people. It also covers how the U.S. should deal with the money that it owed at the time to other countries. Finally, Article 7 confirms that each state has agreed upon what is in the Constitution. It is followed by the signatures of every representative sent to work on the Constitution. Following the creation of the Constitution, the first Congress met in 1789. George Washington was named the first American president that same year. In 1791, James Madison, one of the founding fathers, created the Bill of Rights in response to citizen complaints that the Constitution did not protect individual freedoms. The Congress officially added it to the Constitution that year. The Bill of Rights is the name of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. These are the original amendments set forth by the Founding Fathers. In order to keep things simple, here's a brief overview of what is written in each of these amendments. The First Amendment declares that all citizens have the right to free speech, religion, press, peaceful assembly, and to petition the government. The Second Amendment declares that all citizens have the right to bear arms, which means defend themselves with legal weaponry. The Third Amendment declares that soldiers may not stay in citizens' houses without their consent. The Fourth Amendment declares that no citizen shall be searched and none of their property can be seized by law enforcement without probable cause or a warrant of arrest. The Fifth Amendment declares that citizens have a right to proper process and counsel if they are arrested. The Sixth Amendment declares that citizens have a right to a fair trial if they are arrested. The Seventh Amendment declares that citizens have a right to a trial by jury, which means a group of fellow citizens help the judge decide. The Eighth Amendment declares that citizens have a right to a fair bail or price to get out of jail, as well as to no cruel or unusual punishments. The Ninth Amendment declares that even though not all rights are listed, this does not mean they are not given to the citizens. The 10th Amendment declares that the powers not listed in the Constitution are given by default to the states and the people to decide. In the following centuries, 17 more amendments were added to the Constitution. While some of them discussed older topics, such as the prohibition of alcohol, many have changed the entire voting process, such as the 19th Amendment allowing women to vote, and the 26th Amendment setting the legal voting age to 18. With these amendments, the United States still follows the original Constitution, making it the oldest Constitution in the world still followed to this day. If you want to learn more about the history of the U.S. following the creation of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, check out U.S. History 5, the U.S. Expansion and the Civil War. Meanwhile, continue to practice your skills with our online learning games and quizzes. Thank you for watching, and until next time, always be clever.